Hi, Zox. Thanks so much for being here with us. It was wonderful pleasure to see you here. And you've been to so many competitions, and you also represent RoboSub here. What do you think is the level of competition here, the challenge?
It's really nice to be here. This is my first time at SAUVC. I've been wanting to come out for a long time and see it. I've heard such good things about it. And the first thing that struck me coming here is the amazing growth that you've had in this competition. I heard it was only 4 or 5 teams in the first year. And yeah, now we're up to 37 teams, I think, this year. So that's really fantastic. And there are some of them are teams that we recognize from RoboSub, you know, some of the really top teams. But so many other teams from around the area that don't maybe have the resources to travel internationally, you know, at least to the United States. They've come here and they're competing, and it's just really great to see, you know, and especially some very young, enthusiastic teams that are just getting started in robotics, and so, you know, so seeing that level of enthusiasm and the spectrum of attendees, that's really exciting to see.
That's correct. Like our youngest attendee was 14 years old, so we are really excited about that as well. So you have seen the tasks in the arena out there, and you know the level of difficulty. You think they are getting prepared well towards like open water competition, maybe?
Well, you know, everything that you do in the real world is a valuable learning step for doing more complicated things out in the open water or so on. And when I look at the tasks out here, you know, it's in a big swimming pool, and it has some gates and some manipulation, knocking something over, some acoustics. All the elements are there, and it reminds me of early RoboSubs. Yeah. You know, so building up those small you know, small scale experiences that teach you so much about what life's going to be like out there, where you have to deal with more complicated scenarios. But the fundamental skills are on display here, and from there, hopefully, the students will stick with it. They'll get the bug, they'll get excited, and they'll go on to more complicated tasks.
Absolutely. So you've seen so many students with these competitions, and you know what are the general fallbacks. Do you have any advice for the students and the viewers that we have?
The biggest advice that I always have for teams competing in these competitions is get in the water early. There's no substitute for real in-water practice. There's lots of things you can do to sort of make life easier. Simulation is a really good thing to do, but get in the water, because the teams that we see do the best in our competitions are the teams that have had practice in the water. And that's why a competition like this is really great, because it makes them get in the water. They get some practice, and then hopefully they'll go on to some of the other competitions as well.
That's wonderful, and actually it's unanimous with all the other speakers they've been talking about. They're saying get wet early and, you know, start practicing early. So I guess that's in line with that. And you've seen the organization committee too, and you've seen the way the tasks have been assigned, like going from qualifying rounds and actually pre-filtering them before the qualification rounds, and then coming here and doing the final rounds as well. What do you think about the organization of this entire event? Like, do you have any suggestions for us?
Well, I think that the organization here is really good. We talk amongst ourselves outside of the competition. We actually have a group called MASC2 that is a sort of loose confederation of the people that organize all of the robot competitions. And so we talk to each other outside the competition and give each other advice. So it's no surprise to me to come here and see that this is a very well organized competition, because we all try and learn from each other. And one thing that we've discussed amongst ourselves is the ability to do pre-qualifying. It can really help, because it lets the teams that have got in the water do things. It means when they come to the competition, they can concentrate on the tasks and not take up valuable pool time that maybe some of the ones that got organized a little later will need to do their qualifying. So I think that helps everyone to have the pre-qualifying.
Absolutely, and then if you tie in with the simulation part, I guess it becomes even more useful to use the pool time valuably.
Yeah, these are all useful components. They all help people. But at the end of the day, there's no substitute for coming here, being in the same place with everyone. It's like a conference.
Right.
You get to talk to the other students. You get to see other people's designs and learn on site. So everything has its place. But these are all things that we've learned over many years, and you guys have learned them just as well as the other competitions. So it seems like a very smooth running competition.
Great. Thank you so much for talking to us and taking out time to come and join us in this challenge. I would leave you with one last question. What do you think your experience here has been at SAUVC? Can you describe it in one word?
Oh, one word. That's tricky. I guess the first thing that comes to mind is hot. But let me think if I can come up with a Well, my biggest impression, as I said earlier, with so many teams here, was enthusiasm. There's just like so many people that are extremely psyched to be here, that they're extremely glad, I think, to have a competition that's close to home. I had a long talk yesterday with one of the mentors for a Singapore team. It's made up of all first years. In fact, some of the team members aren't even first years. They're about to matriculate. And they were just all so glad that they wouldn't have been able to afford to go to another competition elsewhere. They were just so glad there was one here to do. So it just makes me really happy to see that enthusiasm can be rewarded with a competition locally.
Absolutely. So enthusiasm, I guess?
Yeah, enthusiasm.
All right. Great. Thank you so much once again for your time, and we hope to see you again next year.